Welcome back to the shop, guys. This week on the channel, we're out at Dripping Springs Country Club, my favorite driving range in Dripping Springs. They've commissioned us to do some really cool yardage signs. So stick around. I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company, and let's build something. Ta-da! Now, this driving range was derelict a couple years ago. It was unmanageable, not taken care of. The grass was really high, and I always drove past it and never used it. And when I saw the new owners buy it and start to do these major improvements, I was so excited. One of the reasons I like this place is because their yardage signs are Caddyshack and Happy Gilmore, really cool stuff that I like, my kind of personality. So let's make them some really cool yardage signs, and let's get into it. Hopping straight into this, we're gonna head over to Lowe's and we're gonna have 3 sheets of treated plywood. This is gonna be outside, so we're gonna wanna make sure that it's treated. Now, a trick that I use at Lowe's is I go over to their panel saw and I have a Lowe's employee cut those down to manageable pieces. This way I'm not hauling back full sheets to the shop, which I can do, but it's just easy for me to have him do this while I go gather other materials. I'm going to grab some 1/8 inch 3-foot steel bars, and then I'm going to grab this Valspar paint. It's an exterior paint, it's seasonal, it's water resistance, weather resistance. This is really good stuff for projects outside. All right, so it's early in the morning and we're going to get started on carving up these yardage signs. I've got all the materials stacked and ready to go. Next, we're going to go over to the X-Carve and we're going to lay it out so that we can do repeatable and multiple numbers carving. So let's get into it. Straight over to the X-Carve and I'll start batching these out. Now I have all the sheets on one side, I'll measure, and then I'm going to screw the sheets actually down. The actual carve area is outside of where my screws are going to go, so I just don't want to hit those screws. Once it's secured to the actual table, I'll go ahead and home the machine. Now I'm going to switch and I'm going to carve these all out with an 1/8 inch straight cut bit. It's going to be the fastest, and I'm going to push this machine a little fast to see if I can get each number carved in under 20 minutes. I don't charge for the time that the machine's actually running. I only charge for the time it takes me to set up the machine. I'll then set up the Z-Probe. This is going to tell the machine the height and the distance of the material. Then I'll set up my cameras, I'll slide the enclosure closed, put on the front, and then let's get to carving. I actually didn't know how to use this CNC machine or the software when I bought this machine. I taught myself how to use it by watching YouTube videos and trial and error. So this is a really fun, easy machine to use, so I really recommend this Inventables X-Carve. Also guys, if you like fun and creative videos like that, hit the subscribe button. Do it, and do it now. Plus, leave me a comment. I'd love to hear your comments and I'll totally comment back. Also, find me on Instagram. I do previews to all of these projects and it's a great way to stay in the loop. After this first one is finished carving, I'm going to grab my dust collector and then I'm going to sweep up and vacuum up all of the dust. I'll move the machine back and get as much dust up as I can. Now there's little tabs on the back of this. I don't carve all the way through, and I'm just going to go ahead and cut those tabs out. I'll then remove my screws, pull the carve up, and then I'll reset for another one to carve. It's about 5:45 in the morning here, and I'm trying to get all of these carved by around 10 or 11 o'clock so that I can start painting them. If you'd like to see how I built this flip-up table for my X-Carve with the cover on it, I do have a video on how I made both of these. You can check that out in the link below. So here is the actual tabs I'm going to end up cutting out. You know, they're less than a 1/16 inch thick, so I'll just take a knife, run around, cut them out, and when I run the 1/4 round router over to soften up the edges, it'll take that actual little tab right out. And I'm going to rinse and repeat through this cycle. So I actually have the next letters, or excuse me, the next numbers carving right now, so I'm doing something else while the machine's actually doing something as well. I'll take my 1/4 round over a bit on my little benchtop router. This is always on this router. I really never change it out. I leave this in there. I use my larger router when I need to do flush cuts and all kinds of dados and stuff. So I'll give it a light sand after I've rounded over the edges, and then I'm going to take a file and clean up the inside corners on these two, the 50 and the 75. And then I'll just rinse and repeat. As they finish up, I'll just do the same thing. Sand, route, and make them look really nice. I mean, this is kind of the repetitive thing that you get in a wood shop. It's super fun for me. All right, now that we've got all of these yardage signs and numbers carved. We need to paint them. The client chose a bright white paint. We've got to use an outdoor paint which has UV protection and rain protection, especially in Texas because the sun will beat down on these and they won't last a year. We want them to last a couple years without any touch up of the paint besides when the golf ball hits it. So let's get into it. In the back of my shop, I have this wood storage, and I'm actually gonna make myself a really easy little paint station and cover everything up so that I don't get paint all over. If you guys would like to see a tour of my shop, check out this card right here. I have a really cool shop tour video. Check it out. All right, it's a little loud in here because I have 2 fans going. It's getting a little hot in the afternoon. I've changed into some paint gear. I actually have a big issue remembering to do that, and I ruin like brand new shirts all the time. I don't technically paint very cleanly. I tend to just paint, slop it on, spread the paint. An old painter taught me a long time ago, you push the paint, not the brush. And I set up a simple, just a drying stand with some sawhorses, old wood, and I'll be able to paint on the table saw and then move them over here to dry. I need to put 2 coats on these, and I want at least 12 hours in between the dry. And after the first coat's dry, I'm gonna go ahead and sand with 220 and then get that second coat on. I need these to be as weather rated as I can with an exterior UV rain protective paint. So as I'm painting these, let's talk about Dripping Springs Country Club. It's a driving range in Dripping Springs, Texas, but it goes above that. They have this awesome golf simulator game called Top Tracer. It links to your phone, and when you walk up, it just pops your actual score up. It keeps track of all of your scores. They have different courses and games. It's great for practicing, super interactive. And to dial in those tedious putts, they have the really nice little putting green at the front of the unit. Plus all of this open space to drive your balls in the hill country of Texas. The inside the clubhouse is super awesome, cheeky, Caddyshack, Cappy Gilmore. Plus they're also selling my magnetic bottle cap openers with their logo on them. Killer selection of beers and awesome champagnes, sodas, and the food. It's freaking awesome. They have burgers and fries, and the cool thing is when you order it, they actually grab it and they'll take it out to your bay or your station. It truly is a full service kind of experience. They have playgrounds for the kids, a live music stage. The food is fabulous. You know, the views are amazing. The driving range clean. It's really one of my favorite places to go, guys. If you're in Dripping Springs, check out Dripping Springs Country Club. It is awesome. And I don't have to say that. I'm saying that because it's true, guys. Now that we've got our letters done, we're going to need to put a brace on the back. And initially I thought about doing this out of wood, but wood's not going to be strong enough. These are going to be getting hit with golf balls, and there's a lot of wind out in Texas. So I have this 1/8 inch steel bar, and we're going to take a stepper bit and drill some holes in it and attach it to the back. That'll help it from racking. It won't be able to go down this way, and it won't be able to really go that way. So this is what's going to keep it really strong. So let's get into it. First, on a scrap piece of plywood, I'm going to set up a ledger board, a way that I can run each number down into a spot so that they're all at the same level, basically. And then I'm going to take my metal brackets and I'm going to kind of lay out the distances in between them and how I want it to look. I couldn't be happier with the way that these yardage signs are coming out with, and I hope that the owners are going to love them. I do want the actual metal to straddle all 3 pieces, so I'm going to have to cut it down a little bit. So I'll just mark where my holes are going to go, grab my grinder, and I'm going to cut this off. Wear safety glasses, guys. This burned a hole in my shirt, and you know it's a really powerful, dangerous tool. So remember to wear safety glasses here. So I'll get those cut to where I want them, and then I'm going to take a file and I'm going to clean up the actual edges. My wife came out and she said, "That's kind of a pro detail. Why would you do that?" I wouldn't want the guys that are cleaning these up or painting these or moving these around to actually hurt their hands on a sharp piece of metal. So then I'll take my stepper bit and I will drill down straight through it, and I want to leave enough room on the top to have my screw that I'm going to be screwing from the back actually seat down into the metal. That'll make it really strong and last a really long time. And I'll get those screwed in, make sure that they're measured out correctly. And I couldn't be happier with the way it turned out. They're super duper solid. They're large. You'll be able to see them from great distances. I'm so stoked. As I lay out the last 200 number sign, I want to give a special thanks to the owners and the staff. They were just so nice and just so accommodating. They support local, which is a huge thing. I just really want to thank them personally for letting me make this video and putting up with me filming around the shop. Last thing I'm going to do is I'm going to throw my logo right on the back so people know who made it. It's always important to me to put my logo on something I'm proud of, and I had such a good time making this. You can see here the beautiful Texas hill country and the Texas sky. This is the drone footage from the actual Dripping Springs Country Club. Really is one of my favorite places to go, guys, in the city, and I just actually think it has something for everyone in the whole family. Make sure you check it out. The staff is friendly, everyone is great. I just had such a good time making this. Man, this was actually one of my favorite videos that I had a chance to make. I had a great time in the shop, but I really do love Dripping Springs Country Club. If you're in the Dripping Springs area, come here. You guys know me. If I don't support something, I won't advertise for it, and I advertise the heck out of this place. I mean, they have playgrounds, stages, live music, wonderful food. The staff is amazing. Chris, the manager, the nicest guy in the world. He's a big part of facilitating this video. Plus the owners, they were fabulous to work with, and they support local. That's super, super important. Guys, thank you so much for watching. Remember, if you're not subscribed, do it and do it now. I'm Stoner Erickson from Erickson Design Company, and we built something.